when I began to set up boundaries, healthy boundaries for my life, and empower other people to do the same thing, not just women, not just children, but people, period, because there were some men that needed to be empowered to take responsibility for their lives so that they can come out of, I'll use this as an example, narcissism, because we keep highlighting men in narcissistic behaviors, but we don't deal with women that are in narcissistic behavior. We don't deal with women who are abusive. I've known some women that beat the stew out of some men, beat them badly, physically and emotionally. And he enabled it and allowed it to happen. So what I was saying before is that I had to take responsibility for what was happening to me. I didn't like it. I didn't like the way it felt. It was demeaning. It dealt with my esteem. All of that. But I kept allowing it to happen. And when I hear about women that are in abusive relationships, or they stay in a relationship, they stay in an unhealthy relationship almost till the day they die. They bypass or they miss healthy opportunities to have healthy relationships because they stayed stuck in an unhealthy situation. And why did they do that? Because nobody stopped and helped them to see a way out. Now, I don't deal with people saying, well, they were just stupid to do. No, I don't do that. Human behavior is something that we really have to look at and go beyond just calling somebody stupid. Because that's not the truth and that's not the case. I don't believe in demeaning someone because they didn't know how to make a change, or they didn't have the courage to make the change, or they didn't have the tools to make the change, they didn't have the power to make whatever it is. It takes someone to sit and say, hey, have you ever thought about this? Now, whatever choice they make, hey, that's their choice. With children, I always had a theology that I'm not going to stand by and just watch stuff happen to children. If I can intervene in any type of way, if I can make that call, if I can get online, send a report, I will do what I have to do to help a child. But when an adult is making a choice to continue to do something and they don't want my intervention, then my only intervention is prayer. That's my only intervention. But I don't talk about them. I don't call them stupid. I don't put them down. I don't do any of that. I ask questions. I seek answers. I seek real answers, not the other stuff. See, because a lot of times people, especially when they're in that head-heart disconnect, they become very, very cunning in giving the words that will keep us from going further into the situation and to dig deep into the trauma to bring out real, true transformation. They can bypass it. They can put up and say almost anything. And some people will sit back and let them do it. I don't do that. If I miss something, I'll come back to it. It's like, well, I have a question about this. And when I look at even myself, I had to deal with ask myself some hard questions. I had to deal with my own actions and my own attitudes. And why did I allow them to do what they did to me? Why did I allow them to do that? And I was praying about that one time and I came up with an answer. It came back to me and I was like, oh my gosh, there it is. Sometimes, not all the time, sometimes we have to go all the way back to something that was said to us when we were children. Something that was said to us. Something that was done to us a long time ago. Because as a child, we're like a sponge. We take in everything we see, everything that's said. We just take the stuff in. Unless there's some other kind of intervention to stop that, we just take it in. When I was younger, I was told, and this was by a relative, I was told that I need to try to be like this other person. She's pretty, she's smart, she's social. You should be like her. You should try to act like her. Ding. I set off on a journey to try to be pretty, smart, and social. I tried to mimic what I saw and what was said to me, because when my relative told me that, what that meant was that they were happy with the other person, what the way the other person was, but they were not happy about me. See, they gave approval of the other person, but they disapproved of me. See, all of this, things like that. It wasn't until I pulled back the layers. You have to pull back the layers and to go back and see what set me off on that pattern. What set me off with that pattern on that pathway to try to do this all the time. So that's why I let people say things. That's why I let people do things. There was 2 situations. It was like a competition thing. And both times one time I definitely won. And then everybody was looking at me. I was young. All the kids was looking at me. And I was staring at me, and I was scared because it's like they didn't like me because I won. It was a coloring contest. They gave us a piece of paper. Whoever won the coloring contest won a payday. Well, I won. I won. And everybody looked at me. I offered almost every kid in that room a part of my payday. Instead of just enjoying my prize, my payday, I gave some to them. Why? Because I was trying to get them to like me and to approve of me and to show me that I was okay, that I had a sense of belonging. The other time, let's fast forward. I was in college, and it was one of their extracurricular groups and their study groups, and they had to vote for president and vice president. I was nominated for president, and this other young man, he was nominated for president. They wanted him. Some people wanted him to be the president. They wanted me to be the president. So it wasn't a battle. It wasn't anything negative, but I liked him. I thought he was cute. I liked him. I said, so I'm going to vote for him, so he'll feel good enough to like me. That's what my thought was. So when they were tallying up the votes and I was sitting there looking at them, whatever, I saw the piece of paper that I put in. My vote made the difference. Instead of me voting for myself, I voted for him. And he won by 1 vote. He won by my vote. See, I did not have the foreknowledge that it was okay if I won, and that I could still be liked and approved of if I won. I could still have a sense of belonging if I won. But I didn't see that. I didn't do that. So I looked at it, and that's how my life was in relationships. I let people do different things to me. I let them do it. I had some friends, one of them, and they told me about it later. I knew that they didn't like me, and I knew that they would say negative things about me all the time, but I still want to say, okay, hey, we're friends. They spit in my lemonade. And they watched me drink it. And they laughed about it. It was funny to them. I had another situation where I was in another competition, and I had to find a talent. I couldn't find a talent. And so I said, well, I'm going to sing. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sing. I like singing. I'm going to sing. And I told someone that, and they started laughing. They said, you can't sing. And do you know what happened after that? I stopped singing. I wouldn't even sing in the shower. I wouldn't sing. I just stopped singing. And that went on for, I think it was 2 or 3 years. And then one time I was working on something. I was at college, and I was humming. And I sung one verse or something. I didn't know somebody was listening to me. And this guy came up, he said, You have a beautiful voice. And you know what my response to him was? I said, I can't sing. His response was the turning point for me. He said, who told you that you can't sing? You have a beautiful voice. When he said that, I didn't tell him the story about what happened, but it made me go home and think. That's when I stopped singing, when I was told that I couldn't sing. After he told me that, and I realized what I had done, hey, I was sorry for what I did, but I acknowledged what I did, and I went back to singing again. And from that time, I've traveled with speakers, and I sang. Like before they ministered, I sang for them. And I had other people ask me to sing for them. See, it was because of what somebody said. I gave somebody the authority to tell me if I was okay, if I was approved, if I was liked, if I was beautiful, if I was this. I did that. And then I got mad. I'm like, I'm not doing that again. I'm not doing that again. And so what I look at is I have the authority. God gave me the authority and the ability to make a choice. I don't have to be somebody's victim all the time. I don't have to be a victim all the time. I don't have to be unliked. I don't have to be mistreated. I don't have to be inferior. I don't have to do any of that. I have a choice. I have been given an option. It was, it's so funny. It's funny now. It wasn't funny then. I was going through a lot of health issues. And since my mother died of ovarian cancer, then I started having symptoms that looked similar to her. So I'm thinking, oh my God, I was thinking all of that. Had to go through all these tests and different things. And then they found out that I had fibroid tumors. They sent me to a specialist. Went to two different specialists actually, and spoke with them. And they would tell me these options of things that I could do. And both the different options they told me, it was high risk and it could cause other problems. And I didn't feel right to me. Well, the second one that I went to, they told me, they said, well, you probably already had all the children you're going to have. I said, I haven't had any. Oh, well, then you can get a hysterectomy. And I'm like, I don't want a hysterectomy. Well, you're past childbearing years, so you really don't have any other options. Something inside of me clicked when they said that. I am so grateful now what they said to me then, because the moment they said that, there was not a lapse in time. I didn't drop my head. I stood straight up, and I looked her straight in the face. I said, I always have options. I left that, and then she jumped back. She said, well, I tell you, we're going to let you think, and you tell us what you're going to do. They gave me this pamphlet information. I threw it away on my way out. I cried all the way home because this is what it was. And I was praying. I'm like, God, I don't know what my options are, but I believe I have options. I always have options. And I just kept crying. And that's all I kept saying. I always have options. See, that person's statement, that is like it broke a chain off of me, because that's what I lived under. Like I didn't have options. I didn't have choice. I had to live. I had to take whatever somebody gave me. I had to just deal with whatever somebody did to me. I had to just know I have options. And that's what I accepted. That's what I believed. And I began to pray, and I began to do research, and I began to look up everything and all of this. And I was given all these nutritional things because somebody was getting rid of them. They wasn't using them. And all of them had to do with womb health. So I started taking them. I became a vegetarian, this, that, and the other. A year later, to the month that I was told that I didn't have any options, my daughter was born. See, I have options. You have options. You have to believe that you've been given the ability and the authority to stop any abusive behavior that's coming towards you. You don't have to accept any of it. You have to accept that you are somebody and that you have options.